Hello, my name's Daniel Harris. Set up an initiative, when was it, 2000 or something like that, to foster an open distributed marketplace for digital media. So, where anyone can buy or sell or distribute their content. And so, in terms of user-generated content, I don't see a difference between professional and user-generated. It's all just the same. It's just people interacting with other people. We've gone through various iterations of what that might look like, and the current iteration looks something like this. We're all individuals, and we're all interacting with each other. Now, this could be a band, and they create a song between them. And they have rights in that song. And then someone else could come along and buy that song. And so it's all these kind of interactions want to maintain a lot of fluidity. Now, okay, so let's talk about the current situation. So we've got blue sky, this is what we kind of want it to look like. And if I'm going too fast, you just don't get it. Just say I don't understand what you're saying. So you should really get this because you're going to question me if you don't. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So that's the blue sky, like where everyone's interacting with everyone. It's all an open value network. It's all accounted for, and it's wonderful. The issue is that that's not the current situation. There's a lot of. Does anyone know what a CMO, a copyright management organization, is?
No.
No. Does anyone do know what that is? Can you name me a few? Huh? So, yeah, ASCAP. Anyone else? Okay, yeah. Yeah. Gamer, PPL, PRS. You want to know what it is?
No, I know Gamer. So.
Yeah, okay. So these are collection authorities, and they are kind of like, there's maybe 10 of them or 20 of them in each country collecting for photographs and images and,
No, it is.
Okay, right. Okay, so these are collection authorities. So if you go into a restaurant, there'll be a little badge, possibly. Well, in the UK, it's a PRS and a PPL, and they collect money from the restaurant and they redistribute it to artists.
Okay.
So they hold a database, and that. There's my watch. Just want to see what's going on. Okay. So that database has every song on it, in theory, and has everyone connected to that song. Now, and that's in theory, and it's. So every organization, so in every country, there's this database of every song in the world. And are they all exactly the same in each country? No. And are they representative of actually reality? No, because the data is all it's incredibly messy. So the EU, the European Union, said, let's create a big one in the middle, and it probably was more international than that, of a database of all the music, copyright. And it failed. It was called the Global Repertoire Database, and they tried to come together, and it failed because actually, when it comes down to it, that data is the lifeblood of each of those CMOs. That's how they get their money, because what they do, they get the money from restaurants, take 20% to pay their staff, or whatever that value is, and why would they put that into a central pot where they don't have access to that revenue? So, it failed. And so what we're proposing is a kind of a GRD in a different route, where actually one of these could be a CMO, one of these dots, and they could collect on behalf of this band. And so if we can model all of those relationships and all of those actors, now this band could go direct to the clients, or they could carry on doing it their own way. So in this new kind of world, and I'll go into what's happening right now, which is really exciting, that people are trying to build new systems that get away from the past. And a person that is really into this is Imogen Heap in the UK, and she's kind of well-known in the UK, and she's had a Grammy here or there. And she's helping promote that. And let's go to So there's a lot of organisations that are trying to do stuff to get away, build new models. Let's build new models. However, if we want to get adoption and we want to get buy-in, I believe we need to actually do what we're doing now, do it better than the current systems, but enable people to do what they're doing now, i.e. integrate into the CMOs and all of the other iTunes and all of the other distribution points for their music, and also experiment with new ways of doing things. So what we in Kendraio initiative decided to do was not build a service, which is what everyone does, but build an application where you hold your master data. Because another thing that happens in CMO land is you put all your data into the PPL or the PRS or ASCAP, and they lose it or change it. You don't know what's going on. So let's take that power back. So you might have gathered in the beginning when I started saying I want to make the world a better place. So how I want to do that is through giving people power, giving people autonomy over their stuff. The power to decide what they do with it. So if I have all of the master data about the copyright of a song here, user-centric, here in my own dashboard, in my own application, and I syndicate that out to other organizations, you can ASCAP, you can take a look at this and then pay me, but I hold the master data, then that maintains my power. I'm speaking to lots of different musicians and artists, and they all have different problems. You know, some session musicians have different problems to big name artists. So the idea is to have an application that can run on different devices, that can connect into the old ways, the PPL, the ASCAPs, that can connect into distribution points, that can connect into social networks, and can connect into Ethereum and blockchain. Yay, let's do that too. Awesome. Now, if these don't work, if something doesn't work, it doesn't matter because you still have all the data here. So it's really it's a long-term idea. It's a long-term. I should say this is open source. Kendraio initiative is non-profit. It's a non-profit foundation. It doesn't have any shares. Everything we do is free and we give it away. So beautiful. And you have all your data in there. You maintain it. You can back it up to iCloud and Dropbox and MadeSafe or whatever. You know, you can do that. But you always hold the master data, and you play with Ethereum. And if it works, then great. And if it doesn't, don't worry. But it's so. The next stage of this is that's just one person. And you could say, well, actually, I'm an artist and I don't have time to do this. Well, you can say, get your manager to do this or whatever, or you can get your record label to do this. It doesn't matter. These, you know, and this could be a CMO. The CMO could have all these, because what we do is we build a model where if I'm an artist and this is a CMO now. Okay, I'm switching things around. Are you following? Are you understanding this? Are you getting what I'm saying here? So, yeah.
So out of curiosity, so through this technology, essentially what you're doing is you're giving people options that we never had before. So say for example, if you were to use this, say, you know how scientists are hired, they create something because of the company they're working for, the company creates the patent, but really they put in all the work.
Yeah.
And in this situation, if they were to use this as say system, they would still hold on to the work and they would then distribute the patent.
According to their contract, yeah.
Well, obviously
yeah,
according
exactly.
to the
But
contract, but the idea is that you're giving
that's much
people
more possible.
their option to own their own things now.
Yeah, that's much more possible. So, I as an artist, into the CMO, I say, listen, I'm going to let you see a copy of the rights associated with Tiny Human. And they're going to then store it in there, right? But it's just a copy, and they have to refer back to the master copy. So, so everyone is running what we're calling Kendraio Hub, and Kendraio Hub is just a prototype for what we want to be built into everything. Because actually what we don't want to do is build an application really, but we have to. But what we really want is to build a protocol, a language that describes the mechanics of music business. In fact, we want to build a protocol that describes the language of sharing, the language of interaction, and and obviously we do know that this isn't an isolated thing. I'll come to you in a second. This isn't an isolated thing. This is working with loads of other people that want to do similar things. But it's about, like as you were saying, Michel, harmonising with what's we're our own project, but we're harmonising with what other people are doing. I often talk about, it's at 10 minutes, I often talk about 50-50, that we should be, I'm going a bit over the place, but bear with me, that we should be doing our own vertical projects 50% of our time, and then the other 50% of the time we should be connecting with all of the other projects, and talking about interoperability. So, we've got this guy connecting in here to a CMO and saying, you can have a copy of my data, you synchronize with what I say. Then you have all these guys having their own, and this is very similar to your model of the cash, because if we make it's not a transaction in terms of money, but it's a transaction in terms of, it's an agreement. Yeah. It's an agreement. We hold a certain portion of this song, you know, that I'm this kind of, I'm a bassist, I'm a drummer, and what that, and we all countersign each other, so it's building up, it's a trust network as well, so there's no necessarily any central authority. And what that means is all of these apps are talking to each other without central authorities, it's distributed. So that's the dream. Okay, that's the dream. Any questions about the dream?
Well, I'll be a bit critical.
Please.
So when copyright was working, before the digital age, it funded about like 0.02% of the artists.
Mm.
In a country like France, there's only 1,000 people living from copyright. And those were the good days, right?
Mm.
So we live in an age where, you know, digital content is copyable.
Yeah.
And something that's abundant because of that is outside of the market. And so for me this is a bit, in this sense, misguided, because you're assuming that this is not the case, and you're working on this increasingly shrinking.
Okay.
But wait. So the only way this works, because you know it works on based on artificial scarcity, is that you either use technological repression, so DRM, or you put people in jail.
That's a question. Okay.
No, that's
so,
not a question. That's,
okay.
That's the reality.
Okay.
For me.
So I'll speak to that. Can I? Because I like this speak to thing, because I'm English and we don't say speak to, we say I'll answer you. But anyway, so that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is I, as a consumer, as a lover of music, want to fund the people that I listen to. I want to pay £5 for a track. I want to pay 10 quid for an album. I want to pay 20 quid a month, and I want it to be split across everything I see or hear or whatever. So you know, it's like, so there's a difference between streaming or downloading or whatever. That's a license, right? It's not actually a different service. It's like I get the thing, but it's like it's a different. You know, I either get a license to play it forever, as many times as I want, or I get a license just to play it one time, and you know, it'll be a fraction. Or so we can play with lots of different models, and that's just me as a consumer. I'll come to a sec. Me as a consumer specifying the kind of contracts that I want to make with other people. And then on the other side, it's me as a content owner specifying the kind of contracts that I want to make. I don't want to stream. I don't want to download. I only want to receive streaming stuff. So it's not about scarcity. It's about desire to fund artists and people who make art, and on the other side it's about, and it's not just that.
But
because
you need to break out of the scarce money, because the scarce money and
Cool.
the scarcity of production
Cool.
is what created the whole copyright, the DRM.
Yeah.
If you're going to break out, change your money.
Okay.
That's kind of what I just wanted to suggest in this model, you can put in time banking, and I'm really interested in figuring out a model of commons credits that sort of incentivize people to put things into the commons. But so my perspective is I'm with you, and I'm with this, because I do music and I don't want to have to get money in my hand all the time, but I don't have to pay for everything
Okay, I'm going to
that
ask
I
that.
do.
Right, I'm going to ask that. Okay, so the thing about this is, Michael, the thing about this is we can plug anything into Kendra Hub because it's a pluggable system. So if you want to pay with Bitcoin, if you want to pay with your system, if you want to pay with time banking, that's okay. And it becomes a decision by the consumer to receive that or spend that, and it becomes a decision by the artist. So it's about freedom. Give me a second, because I just want to say something about this, because I'm going to show you a demo now. Because you actually built something, built a prototype. If I'm an artist and I want to use a sample of this song, so it's not just about B2C, it's about B2B as well, if you want to use those old terms. Can I come back to you in a second? I want to, so that's the boring bit. Okay, so Kendra, over the years we've raised so and so many 500,000, 500,000, 500,000 or something, from research grants in the EU and the UK. We don't have any private funding because we don't offer shares. We've got about 3,000 people on a mailing list because of all the talks I've done and wave my hands like this. Okay, so Imogen Heap wants to promote this kind of stuff, and she's gave out a song recently for free, and she gave away the stems as well. The stems are the individual tracks. So I've downloaded them, and these are them playing. And if so, that's her song. And if I just say, I'm just gonna go with the okay, it's not that one, doesn't work. Okay, so not that one. Drums. Can you hear the drums? So I can isolate. So she's given the actual building blocks of her song.
What's the application again?
Okay, so that's interesting. Why is it interesting? Because there's a copyright associated with each one of them, and there's a person associated. The actual people that are playing in that song are associated in there as well. So everyone, has a unique bit. So what have we built? Okay, so we've built a system that can model that. So that can model the complexity of, I've got a song, it's lots of different actors in it, performers in it, and the writers. And so if we look at the record for Tiny Human, this is what it looks like. There's the composition, which is totally by Imogen Heap. There's the design, which they took the photography. These are all the people involved in the song and the sleeve, and so these are performance. So you've got the cello, you've got viola, and so forth. Yeah, making sense. And here we've got suggested splits. Why are they suggested? By the way, the music industry doesn't work like this at the moment, and it may never. But we want to provide options. That suggested split is based on the amount of time you are playing on that track. Okay. But it may, but we're also going to give you the option to not do that. We're also going to give you the option of just saying, well, it's all 100%. Everyone, no matter where they are in that song, always gets a bit of the song. Why it matters? Because if this person wants to get a sample, this is why it matters where you sample from. Okay? So we can do graphs and things and charts and this is collecting all the things together, right? It's okay. So that's one side of what the Kendra Hub kind of algorithm does. The next thing that we do is, if we have, how much time have we got? Yeah. Let's do this. Let's take this sample. I've canned it because I wasn't sure that the internet would be on. But anyway, what I'm doing here is I've gone to a place where I can actually take a sample of this track. And let's take more of it. I'm still online, hopefully. Okay, will it refresh? Okay, not yet. Yes, it is. Okay, so there's the track. That's the performance part of it. Now, if I want to take a sample of just a little clip, remember this guy wants to take a sample and then use that in their own song. Let's just take a little bit here. Do you remember those? Now, when we refresh, I know it'd be lovely if it was smooth. There's only 5 stems there. You see what it's done? So it's only going to take this bit.
Yes.
And what it's done is it's done a suggested split, and that's 100 divided by 5. Okay, so it actually recalculates the split that you are Yeah, based on the sample. Yeah, anyone getting that?
Exactly.
Good. Okay. So then, what's the next step? Well, here's a song where we've got Stairway to Heaven and Under Pressure samples. We haven't got the direct. We've already done this. We've taken in those samples and we've put them into a new song. 20 minutes. Okay, fine, awesome. And what? We don't see players here. We don't see the performers or the writers. But what our algorithm does is drill down into the samples. Where did it get those names from? Because is that magic? Yes, because what it's done is it's gone down into the samples and found out who is actually playing within the samples. So we can have samples within samples within samples, and at the end of the song, we'll end up with 100 or 1,000 if it's an orchestra or whatever, actual individuals that are performing or even part of the songwriting team. So, this, I think, is possibly it in terms of a mapping, and it's all peer-to-peer, and it's mapping. By the way, so this isn't peer-to-peer yet. We need to plug that in, but okay. So go for it. Quick
So
one.
are you encoding those tracks or stems so that when they float around the web, they're still trackable, like as an example, Digimart does with...
There's a lot of different ways of doing it. What we're doing is building a very decoupled system. So you could probably use watermarking, or you could use trust. Remember trust. And what we would really like to do is make that, which is Logic Pro or Pro Tools or whatever, we would want. Remember, I said in the beginning, we don't want to build an application, but we have to. We want these guys to be aware of the protocol. So when I drag a stem from there into another thing, it drags all of the credits and all of the rights owners into it. So this becomes the digital audio workstation becomes rights and credits aware. And then all the applications, all our mobile phones become rights. So actually, this is really interesting. I've got to credit Sandy Hoover here, who's a friend of mine, and we worked a lot of this in 2012, a lot of these concepts. The reason why we actually came up with this is because we wanted to enable people in the developing countries to have a revenue stream. So they are amazing singers, they are amazing kora players or whatever, and if they could do a sample onto their mobile phone and it was tagged with their rights, okay, I'm being really simplistic, the West would lap it up and pay them revenue. So that was part of the reason behind a lot of this, these ideas. And yeah, there was another question.
Play for Change, did you connect with them?
Huh?
On that one, did you connect with Playing for Change?
Yeah, there's so much you need to do. We concentrated on building just something that we could
No,
show.
but of the group, Playing for Change, we do world music.
Yeah, no, I know, no, we were told about them that several times. I haven't done so yet. If you have contacts, yes. Okay, so, quick.
So this hopefully will provide a lot of clarification for others as well.
Question.
From what I understand, yes, the question, your answer to it would be...
Yeah.
So I'm seeking clarification here.
Great.
So essentially your intentions and the values that are surrounded around this, there's many, and I'm sure many other people who are working on it, they also have many intentions. But at the core, this is a tool. And what this is you said it's decoupled. It doesn't have to be paired with these other things, but it has the interface that allows you to couple it with all these other things, to reuse it, and at the core, that's what you're trying to deliver, just a tool for people to use. And that was your overall purpose, and that's the underlying, correct?
Right, because actually once we build this, and use architectures and have a pluggable system, then this becomes a model for anything. It doesn't have to even be copyright. It could be anything. So what we're trying to do is promote a model here, and it links into what it has very similar values to Scepter, in terms of this distributedness, and so maybe we plug that in there, and if there's a Drupal module for it. Yes.
Not a question. One of the ways that you
it's not a question.
Not a question.
Can I take questions first and then come back to you?
That's not a question either.
Anyone with a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
How does it help him?
Him?
How does it help him?
I don't know, and I don't know, and I'm gonna, that's a point that
Can I have
if we have to
one?
decide. Yes.
Absolutely.
I see that the tools that you're using, something that's really integral to what we're doing here is we're giving revenues to content. In the framework that's been that we're suggesting, we're giving that. So there are going to be different contributors to that. As I've mentioned this a couple of days ago, we've got languages, people speaking different languages, people contributing to different types of media and so on. And that in order to be able to distribute these revenues that we then put into a new way of generating wealth, we need to be able to split that up. And by and we
open
can
value network for music or
figure out-
media.
Yeah. So if we could incorporate that within how those revenues are distributed,
Absolutely.
then we can get it using
Absolutely.
for music, getting
Yeah.
for citizen
Well, that totally
journalism,
works in
getting
that.
for
And questions, and then we'll go to statements.
Would that be what diaspora wanted to be for Facebook, since actually
Diaspora wanted to be
any kind of-
Diaspora, no, because Diaspora actually, well, yeah, Diaspora did want to be a distributed system, and it kind of got there, but it wasn't fine-grained enough. And this is very, very fine-grained.
Yes,
This is,
but I could
in a sense,
use
it's
it-
a semantic, personal semantic
Since
application.
I'm not a musician or an artist or anything, I could just use this as my public profile and share my telephone number in the same way.
You know, ideally, you know, it may not be Kendraio that gets there, but something is going to get there, because that's the kind of world we want to live in. Yeah, where we have direct control of you know. Questions? Yes.
I hear you that this is just an archetype for sharing future things, but for the example of music, how does this, because the tool is only useful if people want to use it, so how can this tool, how can what you're developing actually contribute to changing the culture of giving a shit that
Right.
artists get credit for their music?
The problem at the moment is artists are really, they're very frustrated.
Yeah.
The kind of the only route they have are traditional ones of getting money. So it's kind of really hard to get money in new ways, and that's why it's what Imogen's doing is brilliant and trailblazing that. And what we're kind of proposing is, but artists are making some artists are making some money using the traditional, you know, the incumbent methods. So let them carry on doing that. But if they can do it in such a way that they're kind of like doing it within a system that allows them to experiment with new ways, then that's the kind of hook. So it's not saying, oh, you have to change and do it all anew.
Sure.
It's like you can carry on doing what you're doing, keep earning that revenue that is keeping you like food just about, and then that's the idea.
I guess my clarification is, as an artist, this seems like an amazing idea, and I would be on
Yeah.
board in a second. I'm talking about consumers of music. I'm talking about those people who aren't artists. What is the incentive for them to
If they understand
to
it,
create a culture
Yeah, if they
where
understand it,
they
so-
realize why it's important?
sure, if they understand it, which I hope they will, then they'll get that they need to, they're part of the solution to cleaning up, to making a better world, and to going direct to artists. However, in some ways, but it's not dependent. What I'm trying to do here is build a system that is not dependent on any one thing happening. So they can continue to buy through iTunes, and the band will still collect, because Kendraio will plug into iTunes on the business side.
Daniel, if you don't mind, I would love to have an answer on behalf of all the technologists that would essentially address a lot of the issues that people have when receiving information in this format. For technologists, what we do is the internet is great because it's a place where you can put something there and share it. What we want to do is we want to create tools, frameworks, where you can take it and do whatever you want with it. You can use it for music. You can use it for this. You can use it for that. And that's what he's doing. And when a technologist presents these things, we show, here's how the framework works. Allow your imagination to take it where it needs to go. Because what we want to do is we want to put tools out there that empower every cause instead of saying, this tool's made for this specific cause and that only.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of explaining frameworks like these
So,
in all technologies.
in my last 2 minutes,
I agree with you.
No,
But
no,
the
that's-
point is,
that's a debate.
As an artist, she, myself, and Stephanie need to be able to get value back out of it. We're putting value in. We have to
It's
get out.
difficult for some people to answer these questions because that's not how far we talk, you know? So we think, how can we put a tool out there? How can we explain how it works? Then, by byproduct, people who want to create something look for tools and they see what they see. So
Great,
that's the perspective
great.
we're going for.
Great,
You know what I mean?
great. Okay, in my last 1 minute, I'd like to say, I'm here, and I should have said it at the beginning, I'm here talking to you because I want to collaborate with all of you. And if I don't collaborate with you, then I want to get your support. I want to get your buy-in. I want to interact. So, you know, we have a newsletter that goes out once every year, and I hope to increase that to once every month. So sign up on Kendra.io, spread the word. We've got Facebook and we've got Twitter and we've got all that kind of stuff that I need to get better at doing. But what I really like about this is it isn't all or nothing. It's an opportunity to slowly go on a path that gets us to freedom, and it doesn't kill the past. It's not against anything. We want to actually help CMOs do their job better. We want to help government do its job better. We want to help all of the businesses do their jobs better, and the record labels. And in doing that, because we build a cleaner, more accurate and transparent system, it'll help the artists as well, which is good.